Iran is vowing to take action against the U.S. for what it calls an unlawful violation of international law.
The Islamic Republic of Iran continue to defend Iran's territory, sovereignty, security, and people by all means necessary against not just U.S. military aggression, but also the reckless and unlawful actions of the Israeli regime.
By all means necessary. That was Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi saying that Iran will defend itself against U.S. and Israeli aggression following a week of ongoing airstrikes and an attack on 3 key Iranian nuclear facilities. For a closer look at where this conflict sits this morning, I'm joined by retired Major General David Fraser, CTV News military expert. Good to have you with us this morning.
Anne-Marie, good to be with you.
By now, most people know on the weekend the U.S. hit 3 key nuclear facilities in Iran. Here's where they are, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. So what do we know about these sites and the success of these? I know the UN is calling this morning, their nuclear agency wants to take a closer look at the damage that's been done.
Well, we know quite a bit about each of the sites. I mean, there are 2 sites that actually produce enriched uranium. One of the sites is more of a research area and manufacturing. But the Fordo is the most important site because it's buried at least 60 meters underground, and that was the primary target of the United States, where they think most of the enriching of uranium takes place. And again, this morning, it looks like Israel has attacked it.
U.S. President Donald Trump said he was going to give 2 weeks to decide whether or not to strike Iran. He then, in the end, only gave it a few days. What do we know about what prompted this change of mind?
Well, I think there was an awful lot of pressure and, desire from the Israelis to get the United States to engage, because the United States is the only one that have these 30,000-pound bunker busters. And at the same time, the talks weren't going anywhere, according to Trump and his administration. So between those 2 things, the decision was made to go after it, and we won't know the full extent of the success of this mission for some time until the bomb damage assessment is done.
There is also some discrepancies over the timeline. Some military experts saying in order to get that kind of firepower in place, it actually has to be planned more than a few days ahead of time. So the timeline about when this decision was made is still up for debate. But we do know the U.S. is being criticized for the decision. The U.S. administration denies this is about regime change, but Trump has also made threats against the Ayatollah. He's also hinted that this might be a regime change in a post recently on the weekend. What is the end goal for the U.S. here?
Well, the end goal for the U.S. is still not quite clear. First of all, in the speech by the president, which was 3 minutes, the most succinct, focused speech, it talked about military targets and stopping Iran as a world leader of terrorism. But at the same time, it didn't talk about regime change there. But in the last day or so, regime change is cropped in, and that would actually support the Israeli campaign, who have been taking out leaders.
Iran says retaliation is coming. They haven't revealed how or when. What options does Iran have right now?
Well, right after the attack, Iran didn't do very much. They fired 1 missile and 1 drone, but today is a different day. So, in fact, we could see much more of that, or we could see more terrorist attacks against citizens around the world, or a military attack against American facilities in the area, a la what they have done in the past couple of years. And most dangerous of all is the blockading of the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil goes through, which could actually create a spike in oil.
I mentioned that tweet off the top where President Trump has said it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be regime change? And then he tweeted, MIGA, make Iran great again. Prime Minister Mark Carney, we know, spoke with President Trump overnight. The talks focused on de-escalating this conflict in the Middle East. But when you see posts like that, how much room is actually left for diplomacy?
Well, I mean, we got to put aside the political rhetoric from every country that's out there right now, because, I mean, people are saying an awful lot of things. The reality is the actions of those leaders and what they're going to be doing. But regime change is fraught with lots of danger. If we look at Iraq, Afghanistan, or Syria, when you cut off the head of the snake, you can't control what happens afterwards. So it's a very dangerous thing to say, but it's more dangerous to actually do.
As this news was breaking on Saturday night, I thought of our past conversations and what we had talked about in terms of other factions and pulling them into this conflict. What are we watching for there?
Well, we are to watch for what is Russia doing, what is China doing. They are both supporters of Iran, and there have been some outlandish things that are coming out and saying that they're. So we got to watch that. We got to watch the international community and some of the, protests that are going on there. This is much bigger than Israel, Iran, and United States. So we got to start watching the other countries, especially those that will support Iran.
A multinational conflict brewing for sure. Retired Major General David Fraser, CTV News military expert. Thanks for your time and your perspective this morning.
Anne-Marie, thank you.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.